Right, welcome to the video for the Mathematics 10 Unit 2 Equation Practice Test. In this test, we're going to look at the two curricular competencies, understanding and solving, as well as reasoning and modeling. First, let's solve the systems of equations. So in this test, I'm not going to ask you to use a specific skill or specific method to solve systems of equations. So you can choose whatever you want at each moment. For this particular systems of equations, I think it's going to be easier if I use the substitution method. Why? Because the first equation already has the variable y isolated, which means that I'm going to use a substitution method to put in 2x minus, in place of y, I'm going to put negative 2x plus 5. And always keeping in mind that we should always put the brackets when we use the substitution. So when I open the brackets, it becomes 2x plus 2x minus 5 equals 7. And then let's collect like terms. 4x equals 12. So that's x equals 3. So that's one of the answers. Now, to solve the systems of equations, I also need to find the y value. So I'm going to find that using the first equation. Y equals negative 2x plus 5, which means y equals to negative 2 times 3, x was 3. Always use a bracket there. Y equals negative 6 plus 5, y equals negative 1 is my answer. So I found x equals 3 and y equals negative 1 as my answer. We can also check our answers. For the first equation, y equals negative 2x plus 5. Y is negative 1 and x is 3. So negative 1 equals negative 6 plus 5. Negative 1 equals negative 1, so that's a check. The second equation, 2x minus y equals 7. X was 3 and y is negative 1. So that's 6 plus 1 equals 7. 7 equals 7. So once again, that's a check. So I know that I've solved the systems of equations perfectly. You don't need to check your work to get the full answers, but you want to save yourself after you made a potential mistake. Now let's do the second question. For this one, I'm not going to use a substitution method. I'm going to instead use a elimination method. Specifically, I'm going to multiply the first equation by negative 1. Why do I want to do that? Because I want to make the coefficients of the x terms to be equal to each other. So then if I multiply the first equation, both sides, by negative 1, it becomes positive x minus 4y equals negative 5. So make sure that all three terms are multiplied by negative 1. And then the second equation stays the same. And now let's use the elimination method. So I go x minus x to be 0. Negative 4y minus 2y is going to be negative 6y equals negative 5 minus negative 4. That's negative 5 plus 4. So that's, what is that? Negative 1. So y is equal to 1 over 6 is my value for y. And then I also need to find the x value. So let's put it inside one of the equations. Let's put it under the second equation. It doesn't matter which one you choose, by the way. So x plus 2y equals negative 4. X plus 2 times 1 over 6 equals negative 4. So that's x plus 1 over 3 equals negative 4. So that's going to be x equals negative 4 is negative 12 over 3. So if I do negative 12 over 3 minus 1 over 3, that's negative 13 over 3. So I think that's my value of x. Now I need to check my answer. So let's plug it into the equations. The first equation goes negative x plus 4y equals 5. That's negative of negative 13 over 3 plus 4 times 1 over 6 equals 5. So that's 13 over 3 plus 4 over 6, that's 2 over 3 equals 5. So that's 15 over 3 equals 5. So that's a check. And the second equation as well, x plus 2y equals negative 4. X is negative 13 over 3. and y is 1 over 6 equals negative 4. So that's negative 13 over 3 plus 1 over 3 equals negative 4. That's negative 12 over 3 equals negative 4. So that's also a check. So I know that I found the correct answers here. Let's move on to the question 2. Once again, we're solving systems of equations. For the first part, once again, I can choose whether if I want to use the elimination methods or the substitution methods. But I'm going to use a substitution once again because I want to. If I look at the second equation, the variable is already isolated for me. So let's plug in the second equation into the first equation. So it's going to become 2x minus 5, replacing the y, minus 3 equals 2 times x plus 1. Now let's let's open up the brackets. That's going to be 2x minus 5 minus 3 equals 2x plus 2. So that's what is that going to be? Let's collect like terms. It's going to be 0, 2x minus 2x on the left-hand side, and plus 10 on the right-hand side. So I got 0 equals 10. And what does this result mean? Well, it means that this equation is false. Right? 0 is not equal to 10, which ultimately means that there is no solution. So writing, there are no solutions would be the correct answer in this question. Let's do this part B as well. 4x minus 2y plus 8 equals 0, y minus 2x equals 4. So for this one, I'm going to use the elimination method, but I'm going to align some values before I do that. Let's keep the format of the first equation. So that's going to be 4x minus 2y plus 8 equals 0. And then the second equation, the order is kind of weird. So let's put the negative 2x forward, and then plus y. And then the 4 on the right-hand side, let's put that into the left-hand side by putting minus 4 on both sides. Now, to do the elimination, I need to match the coefficient. So I'm going to multiply the second equation by negative 2 so that my x values are matching. So that's going to be 4x minus 2y plus 8 equals 0. And the second line is 4x minus 2y, and then plus 8 equals 0. And then we do the elimination. So that's going to be 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals 0, which is 0 equals 0. So at this point, I realized that left-hand side and right-hand side are completely equal to each other, which means this is a true statement. And in the systems of equations, when you get a true statement like this means that we can conclude as there are infinite solutions. So writing there are infinite solutions is going to be my final answer. Moving on, question number 3, solve the triangles. So what it means by solving a triangle is that we want to find all sides and all angles. Right? So right now I know 2 sides, and I know the fact that the angle, the corner H is a right angle triangle, right angle. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to represent this into a graphic organizer. Maybe I can also label the sides, minding that the opposite sides are going to be opposite letters with the lowercase. So I know that angle H is 90 degrees. Also know that the side I is 5 centimeters. And then I also know that the side H is 13 centimeters. So first things first, let's find the side G. I'm going to find the side G by using the Pythagorean theorem because I already know the H and I values. Let's underline the ones that I know already. So using the Pythagorean theorem, using a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So that's going to be g squared plus 5 squared equals 12 squared. That's going to be g squared equals 144 minus 25. G is equal to the square root of What is that? What is sorry, 13, right? My bad. 169 minus 25, so that's 144. And using my big brain, I know that square root of 144 is equal to 12. So I know that G is equal to 12 centimeters. Now let's find the other angles, the G and I angle. I'm going to find the angle G first. Now, if we look at the perspective of a G, we know that the side I and the side H, those are the values that I know already. The side I is the adjacent side, and the side H is the hypotenuse side. So I realized that the ratio that I can think of that involves the angle adjacent hypotenuse is going to be the cosine ratio. So let's use the cosine ratio to find the angle of the G. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, which means cosine of G is equal to 5 over 13. So that's G is equal to arc cos of 5 over 13. So let's use the calculator to find the arc cos of 5 over 13. Being mindful of the mode to be degrees, arc cos of 5 over 13 is going to be approximately G is equals to 67.4 degrees. So that's another angle that I found. And also, the 67.4 degrees for me sounds about right. Looking at the size of the angle G, it's definitely greater than 45 degrees, so it makes sense. Finally, let's find the I angle. And once again, looking at the I angle, from the perspective of I know that I know that the side I is going to be my opposite side, and the side H is going to be my hypotenuse side. So which means that I need to find the ratio that involves opposite and hypotenuse, which is going to be sine. Let's use the sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse using the SOHCAHTOA. So that's sine I is equal to 5 over 13. So I is equal to arc sine of 5 over 13, and I is approximately equal to, using the calculator, I got 22.6 degrees. So at this point, I know that I've completely found that I've solved the triangle. I found all three sides and all three angles. Now let's continue working on the question part B. So in this question, we want to start by labeling the corners and the sides. So I'm going to label the corners like this, A, B, and the uppercase C's. And then reminder that the opposite sides has to be the lowercase letters. So the other side will be B, lowercase b here, lowercase a here, and lowercase c here. And then let's use the graphic organizer. A, B, C, A, B, and C. So we know that uppercase A is 30 degrees and the uppercase C is 90 degrees and the lowercase a is 5 meters. Now the first thing we're going to do is use the fact that angles add up to 180 degrees to find the angle B. So knowing that A plus B plus C is equal to 180 degrees, so that's 30 plus B plus 90 is equal to 180. So therefore, B has to be 60 degrees. Now let's find the side B. So according to the angle A, from the perspective of the angle A, the adjacent side is the side B, and the opposite side is the side A, and the hypotenuse side is the side C. So in order to find the side B, I need to use the angle A and the adjacent side and the opposite side. So I think the one that suffices all of these options is the tangent ratio. Knowing that tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. So that means tangent of 30 degrees is equal to 5 over b. In other words, b is equal to 5 over tangent of 30 degrees using the cross multiplication. Now let's put that into the calculator. 5 divided by tangent of 30 is going to be approximately equal to 8.66 meters. Now let's find the side C. Using the angle A and the opposite side to find the hypotenuse, I think this one is the sine ratio, which goes like sine theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Sine 30 is equal to opposite is 5, hypotenuse is C. So that C is equal to 5 divided by sine 30. And I put that into the calculator, and I get the exact value of 10. So I found all my answers. And then you can quickly check by looking. Yes, indeed, the 5 meters is the shortest side, B is the next longer side, and C is the longest side, being the hypotenuse. And the angle B is 60 degrees, also makes sense. That's a bit wider than the 45 degrees. Now let's move on to the question 4. At a movie theater, one adult ticket is $13.50 and one child ticket is $8.50. In a movie with 80 people, the total profit was $1,005. How many adults and children were there? Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to identify the unknown values, which is the number of adults and number of children. So let's declare the variables. Let x be the number of adults. And let y be the number of children. And now let's set up equations. We know that in this movie theater there are a total of 80 people. So I think the first one we can easily do is the fact that x plus y is equal to 80. And then we can say, hey, we have one adult ticket is $13.5. So if I, for example, sell 10 adult tickets, how much profit did I get? Well, I got 13.5 times 10, which is $135 of profit. So at that moment, we can realize that if I have X adult people, then I have 13.5X profits earned from adults. And then for same thing for children, it's 8.5Y dollars earned for children. And the total profit is equal to 1,005. Now let's solve this systems of equations. I think I'm going to multiply the first equation by 8.5 to match the coefficients of y. So that's going to be 8.5x plus 8.5y equals, and then 80 times 8.5, which is 680. And then I'll copy down the second equation one more time. And then now let's do the subtraction. It's going to be 8.5 minus 13.5 is negative 5x plus 0 equals 680 minus 1005 is equal to negative 325. So that means that x is equal to 65, which we realize quickly that y is going to be 15 because the total is equal to 80. Now let's check the answer. So we know that 65 plus 15 is equal to 80, so that's definitely a check. Let's also check the second equation. 13.5 times 65 plus 8.5 times 15 is equal to 1005. So let's put that into the calculator to check whether if you got it right or not. 13.5 times 65 plus 8.5 times 15 is indeed equal to 1005. So yes, we completely got the right answer. Now let's answer the problem. There are 65 adults and 15 children. So you definitely want to get that sentence as the answer to the word problem. Now let's do the last question. From the top of the Grouse Mountain, the angle of depression to Stanley Park is 7.2 degrees. The elevation of the peak of Grouse Mountain is approximately 1,200 meters. Find the horizontal distance between the Stanley Park and the base of the Grouse Mountain. So for this one, let's try to draw the situation first. Um, from the top of the Grouse Mountain, so we have a mountain, and then we're standing at the top peak, and then we're looking down the Stanley Park. Let's say that's a park, and then the angle of elevation is going to be looking down. Depression is going to be 7.2 degrees. And then apparently we know that the elevation of the mountain is 1,200 meters, and I want to find that horizontal distance between the base and the Stanley Park. So I drew the situation with a diagram, and then the next step is to redraw the diagram with a simpler and without any unnecessary information. And also, I realized that angle of depression is 7.2 degrees, which means that the angle inside that little triangle is going to be 90 minus that 7.2. So the angle inside that is going to be 82.8 degrees. Now let's redraw the triangle. So apparently we have the 82.8 here on the top left side of the triangle. And then starting, like looking from the 82.8, the adjacent side is going to be 1,200 meters. And then the opposite side is going to be the unknown value x, which I've already done it quite obviously. I know the angle, I know the adjacent, I know the opposite, and the ratio that includes all three is going to be obviously tangent ratio. That's tangent of 82.8 degrees is equal to x over 1,200. So that's 1,200 tangent of 82.8 equals x. So let's put that into calculator. And I got x is approximately equal to 9,499 meters, or approximately 9.5 kilometers. So we know that my final answer is going to be x is not x is 9.5 kilometer. The horizontal distance between the base of Grouse Mountain and Stanley Park is approximately 9.5 kilometers. All right, that concludes this video. Thank you for watching.